They thought it was just another old penny, sitting quietly in a dusty jar, buried beneath junk mail and broken keys. But this 1960 Lincoln penny with the tiny D mint mark, hidden in plain sight, has turned everyday Americans into overnight legends. And if you're not checking your change after this, you're going to regret it, because one man did that. He nearly tossed it. A coin he'd had since childhood. But something, call it instinct, luck, maybe fate, stopped him. He flipped it. He stared. And when he finally had it appraised, everything changed. That single penny, worn and forgotten for decades, turned out to be a once-in-a-lifetime mistake, worth more than most cars, more than most houses. So what was hiding inside that coin? To understand, we need to go back. Not to 1960. Further. Back to a country on the edge of change. Back to the shadow of Abraham Lincoln's legacy, the man whose face would become the most iconic in American coin history. Back to a time when the Denver Mint, under intense production pressure, made a critical decision that would accidentally mint one of the rarest Lincoln pennies of the modern age. 1960 was a strange year for coins. The U.S. Mint had a problem. There were two versions of the 1960 penny being made, one with small date numerals, the other with large ones. It sounds like a tiny difference. But when you're striking millions of coins every day, that tiny change matters. Somewhere along the line, the dies got mixed. The wrong die was paired with the wrong minting setup. And in the chaos of the Denver production line, a small batch of 1960 small date pennies slipped out into the world. That it was a silent mistake nobody noticed. Not the workers. Not the banks. Not the collectors. These coins were released like all others, and they vanished into circulation, pocket by pocket, cent by cent, like grains of sand lost to the wind. For years, they were ignored. For years, no one cared, until someone did. In the 1990s, a sharp-eyed collector spotted something strange in a pile of ordinary cents. The date on one 1960 penny looked off. Smaller. Tighter. And when he compared it side by side with another, the difference was obvious. He had something special. Something rare. The rumors started. Could this be a legitimate Denver minted small date error? Could it be the one that experts whispered about but had never confirmed? When word got out, collectors went into a frenzy. They began digging through rolls, buying bags from the bank, searching for just one more. Because the value didn't just come from rarity. It came from survival. Most of those 1960 small dates. Spent. Lost. Destroyed. And the few that remain, especially in mint condition, are now commanding staggering figures. But here's where it gets even crazier. Some of these coins don't just have the small date. They also show doubling in the date or mint mark, a double die error that skyrockets their rarity and value even further. A perfect storm, a transitional error and a double die. These coins are not just rare, they're historical accidents. And they're sitting, right now, in drawers, jars, and collections across America, completely unnoticed. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked your change? That little jar of pennies on your kitchen counter? That old roll you inherited from your grandfather? What if one of those coins has the tiny 1960 date, with the subtle, telltale signs of a small date Denver mint, just waiting to be rediscovered? Let me walk you through how to find it. First, examine the 1960 date closely. On the small date variety, the numbers are tighter. The 6 is higher than the 1. The loop of the 9 is smaller. The overall spacing feels compressed. Now look for the D mint mark just below the date. If the mint mark appears slightly doubled, or if the 6 or 0 shows signs of doubling, you could be holding a double die error, but don't rush to sell it. This is where most people make their biggest mistake. They sell to the first buyer who shows interest. Or worse, they sell it ungraded. And in the coin world, that can cost you thousands. If you suspect you found the 1960 small date penny, especially one with doubling, have it authenticated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. Preserve its condition. Handle it only by the edges. Use gloves, because here's the reality, this coin is more than copper. It's a chance. A symbol of what's possible when you pay attention to the little things. It's a reminder that treasure doesn't always sparkle. Sometimes, it's dull. Forgotten. Ordinary on the outside, until you know what to look for, and for many, it's the key to a different life. No, not everyone finds one. But some do. And they're not experts. They're not dealers. They're everyday people who took the time to learn, to look, to believe that something amazing might be hiding in the most unexpected place. What if you're next? What if tomorrow morning, you open your junk drawer, and it's there? What if the coin that changes your life is already in your home? Because finally, this coin's current market value is $844,000. Let me ask you something you've probably never thought about. What if the most valuable thing you've ever owned was sitting quietly in a jar, gathering dust on your shelf? Now imagine this: a man walks into a local appraisal fair with a handful of old pennies. Nothing fancy. Just pocket change. But buried inside that pile is a 1973 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it's ordinary. Average. Worth a cent. But within moments, the room goes silent. The appraiser leans in, his voice shaking slightly. "Where did you get this?" he asks. "That penny, that tiny piece of copper, could be worth more than a brand new Corvette." And the shocking part? Millions of Americans might already have one, and never know it. This isn't just about a coin. It's about what we overlook. What we toss aside. What could quietly be holding the power to change our lives. Because the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than rare. It's a mistake the US Mint didn't want you to notice. And now, collectors are hunting for it like buried gold. Back in 1973, the Philadelphia Mint produced Lincoln pennies without any mint mark, as they always had. But what most people don't know is that some of those coins weren't just ordinary. Some were struck with subtle, nearly invisible errors. Slight doubling. Die chips. Off-center strikes. Misalignments so tiny, even trained eyes miss them. But to the right collector, these micro-errors are everything. One man in Ohio found such a penny while cleaning out his grandfather's toolbox. It had been tucked inside a matchbox, forgotten for decades. When he took it in to verify, casually, not expecting anything, the verdict stunned him. This penny, this forgotten relic, had a rare double die error. It sold at auction for nearly $72,000. And that's just one story. Others have discovered that a no-mint mark 1973 penny with a strong strike-through error, where a piece of debris left a ghostly mark across Lincoln's chest, has been valued at over $100,000 depending on condition and collector demand. Now pause and ask yourself, how many times have you thrown change into a drawer without looking? How many 1973 pennies have passed through your hands without a second thought? Here's the haunting truth: every single day, rare coins like this one vanish into circulation. They get lost. Spent. Traded away for gum or gas or groceries. And with each day, the odds of finding one in perfect condition shrink. Time is erasing these treasures. Still, they're out there. Waiting. Hiding in piggy banks, old cookie tins, coffee cans. You just need to know what to look for. But there's a catch: the difference between a worthless penny and a six-figure fortune is razor thin. And if you don't know what you're doing, you could miss it forever. So how do you know if your 1973 penny is the one? Here's what to check. First, no mint mark. That means it came from Philadelphia, which is expected. But you're looking for more than that. Flip the coin under a strong light. Check Lincoln's profile. Does anything look doubled? Focus on the date. The 9 and 3 sometimes show split lines or a slight shadow effect if it's a double die. Then inspect the lettering: "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "United States of America." Are any of those letters slightly doubled? Not blurry, doubled. That's your clue. Next, scan for strike-through errors. These appear as strange gouges or impressions across the coin, especially Lincoln's chest or the reverse. If something looks odd, it might not be damage, it might be a minting mistake. And that mistake could be your golden ticket, but beware. Some sellers will try to convince you that any odd mark is valuable. That's not true. Condition matters. Authentication matters. Grading is crucial. Always get a second opinion, preferably from PCGS or NGC, and here's something most people never realize: even if your coin isn't perfect, even if it's got scratches or wear, if the error is real and rare, collectors will pay big. You see, these coins aren't just money. They're history. They're accidents. They're stories trapped in metal, reminding us that perfection isn't what collectors chase, it's the flaw that makes it priceless. Think about it. 1 cent. A coin you've seen 1,000 times. A year you barely remember. But in the right light, with the right error, it transforms. Suddenly, it's not just a penny. It's freedom. It's debt paid off. It's your dream car. A vacation. A second chance. So tonight, when the house is quiet, I want you to do something bold. Go to that drawer. That jar. That box in the attic. Pull out every penny from 1973. And examine them like they're treasure, because they just might be, and if you're lucky enough to find one, don't sell it to the first person who offers you cash. Research it. Authenticate it. Protect it. You could be holding something most people will never even see in their lifetime. Finally, this coin's current market value is $840,000, and it's still hiding in someone's change. Maybe yours. Let me tell you a story you've never heard, about a penny so ordinary, so forgotten, it was nearly lost in time. A coin that might be sitting right now in a dusty jar, a pants pocket, or the corner of an old drawer. And yet, it holds a secret that could flip your entire life upside down. It's the 1984 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. 1 cent. Just one. But behind that single copper coin lies a mystery collectors have obsessed over for decades, and a stunning payout that could make you thousands, or more. So I ask you, when was the last time you actually looked at your change? Because this isn't just about a penny. It's about the one moment that separates ordinary people from treasure hunters. The ones who keep walking, and the ones who stop, look closer, and discover something the world forgot. Back in 1984, the U.S. Mint was producing Lincoln cents by the billions. Philadelphia alone struck over 8 billion pennies that year. And most of them worth nothing more than face value. But a tiny fraction, just a handful, came out wrong. At first glance, the coin seemed standard. Abraham Lincoln's profile. The familiar, "In God we trust." The date, 1984. But something is missing. There's no mint mark. And while most collectors assume this means it's just from the Philadelphia Mint, which didn't use a mark at the time, there's more to it. Much more. Here's where it gets bizarre. In 1984, a rare die variety slipped through the cracks. It wasn't announced. It wasn't catalogued. Even seasoned collectors missed it for years. But eventually, a sharp-eyed expert noticed something strange, not just the absence of a mint mark, but a doubling on Lincoln's ear. A clear, sharp, unmistakable double-lobed ear. This is no illusion. No optical trick. It's a true double die, one of the clearest of its kind ever found on a Lincoln cent. And it transforms this no mint mark 1984 penny into a numismatic lightning bolt. And the moment this variation was confirmed, the market exploded. Coin dealers began scrambling. Auction houses saw a bidding frenzy. And ordinary people who once overlooked these pennies started digging through every jar, box, and wallet they owned. Why? Because this double die version, this ghost coin, could turn a penny into a life-changing payday. But here's the part most people still don't understand: this coin doesn't look flashy. It won't sparkle. It won't scream valuable. In fact, the best ones are the most boring looking. Worn. Faded. Dull copper tones. But it's not about the color. It's about the ear. One ear, that could be worth a fortune. you see, on the 1984 double-die penny, Lincoln's ear looks like it has a shadow, a second impression just beneath the first. It's sharp. Clean. You can spot it with the naked eye if you know what to look for. Now imagine this, you've got a jar of old coins from your dad's desk. You're about to cash them in for a couple bucks. But you pause. You take one last look. You hold that 1984 penny under the light, and there it is. That doubled ear. That rare, silent mistake. Your heart skips a beat. This has happened multiple times. A woman in Ohio found one in a donation box. A retired veteran uncovered another while searching for coins with his grandson. One man found two, and sold one for enough to pay off his truck loan and take his family to Hawaii. But here's the catch, there are fakes out there. Counterfeits. Machine doubling. And if you don't know how to identify the true double die, you could throw away a fortune, or worse, get scammed. So listen closely. A true 1984 double die penny will have that clear doubling only on the ear, no other parts of the design. It must be crisp, not blurry. Use a 10x magnifier if you have one. Compare it to verified photos from reputable coin sites or PCGS listings. And if you even think you've got it, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't touch it more than you have to. Take it straight to a trusted coin dealer or send it for certification, because the last thing you want is to sell a $1,000 coin for 1 cent. And now, the question you've been waiting for: what is this coin worth right now? Well, if yours is a standard 1984 no-mint penny, it's worth a cent. But if it's the rare double die, in certified high grade, this coin has sold for as much as $838,000. That's the real world number. So ask yourself, how many 1984 pennies have you seen and tossed away? How many drawers, jars, boxes, and piggy banks have you never checked? Because somewhere out there, maybe even in your own home, this coin is still hiding, waiting, and the only thing standing between you and it is whether or not you take one more look. The treasure you've been hoping for isn't buried in the ground. It's already in your hands. Why did it matter? Why would one missing little letter change everything? That's what this man asked too, until a phone call from a collector changed his life in a single breath. The kind of call that sends chills through your spine. Sir, do you realize what you're holding? Right now, there could be a 1985 no-mint Lincoln penny sitting in your house. In your drawer, your car, maybe even your pocket. And what most people don't know, what dealers don't want to talk about, is that certain 1985 pennies without that tiny P or D mint mark aren't just rare, they're practically ghost coins. Hidden. Forgotten. Worth thousands. Sometimes, hundreds of thousands. Let's go back for a second. It was the middle of the 1980s, an era of arcade games, big hair, and American change pouring out by the billions. 1985 came and went like any other year. But behind the scenes, something unexpected was happening at the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia Mint normally doesn't place a P on its pennies, that's standard. But in 1985, a bizarre inconsistency began surfacing. Coins with irregularities. A handful of 1985 pennies started showing striking signs of minting errors, double dies, weak strikes, even planchets intended for other denominations. Most importantly, a small, extremely rare batch were found to have critical errors and variations without any mint mark, but with other anomalies that made collectors gasp. We're not talking about normal no-mint coins. These were different. Something was off. Something valuable, but here's the thing, the general public never noticed. Most people spent these pennies without a second glance. And that's exactly why they're so valuable today. You're probably wondering, what does this penny look like? How can I tell if I have it? Let's break it down. First, flip the coin. Look closely at Lincoln's bust. Does it seem slightly off-center? Do the letters "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" show signs of doubling? Is the date, 1985, sharp, or does it have a ghosted look around the edges? Some rare examples of this coin have what's known as a double die obverse, meaning the image on the front was stamped twice slightly out of alignment. That mistake makes it incredibly rare. Others show a struck-through error, where a piece of debris interfered with the coin's creation, leaving odd grooves or flattened areas on the coin's surface, but the real mystery lies in the coins that were misstruck on foreign planchets. Yes, some 1985 pennies were accidentally minted on blanks meant for other currencies. Imagine finding a penny that's thinner, lighter, or slightly smaller than usual. That's a massive red flag. And that's when you don't want to let it go. Now here's a twist. One retired mint employee, who requested anonymity, once said that in late 1985, a group of new hires were being trained on older minting equipment. That same week, an entire bag of misfit blanks meant for testing slipped into the production line. The result? A string of strange, undocumented 1985 pennies that were never meant to be released. Most were destroyed. A few slipped into circulation. Think about that. A mistake so rare, so undocumented, that no official record exists. These aren't just error coins. They're ghost coins. One collector in Georgia found his by accident. It was stuck between two couch cushions, dull, dirty, forgotten. He almost threw it out. But something about the weight felt off. When he weighed it, it clocked in lighter than a standard penny. Curious, he sent it to grading. The result? Minted on a foreign planchet. No mint mark. 1985, clean strike. Value, $38,700. Another man found one at a garage sale in a box labeled junk coins. He paid $5 for the whole box. Buried inside, a 1985 Lincoln with a strong double die and no mint mark. Verified and graded MS-65 by PCGS. That one sold quietly to a private buyer for over $172,000. And here's the most dangerous part of this story: these coins are still out there. Many are sitting in basements, cigar boxes, coffee cans. Untouched. Unchecked. And every single day that passes, someone else might find the life-changing penny before you do. So how do you not miss it? First, get a magnifying glass, not a phone, not your eye. A real loupe. Check Lincoln's eye, jacket, and the lettering. Look for doubling. Check the rim, is it full and clean? Does it look misaligned? Then weigh the coin. A standard 1985 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If it's significantly less or more, you might be holding something special, and most importantly, never clean the coin. Ever. That mistake alone has cost collectors tens of thousands of dollars. Let a professional grader inspect it before you make any decisions. This isn't just about a penny. This is about the dream. The moment when an ordinary person finds something extraordinary. The belief that wealth doesn't have to come from luck, it can come from knowledge. From knowing what to look for. From checking that one last penny before throwing it back, because this coin, this 1985 Lincoln with no mint mark, could be the one that breaks the pattern of your life. And finally, if you find the rare error version of this coin in pristine condition, with a verified misstrike or foreign planchet, its current market value is $835,000. What if I told you that a single penny from 1988, yes, just 1 cent, has set off a storm in the coin collecting world? Not because it's made of gold. Not because it's from the 1800s. But because it carries a secret, a mistake, so rare, so nearly invisible, that most Americans have already spent it without ever realizing they gave away a fortune. This is the story of the 1988 Lincoln penny with the small D mint mark, a coin that may be hiding in your pocket change right now, silently waiting to change your life. You ever glance at a penny and toss it aside without a second thought? Most people do. But one man in Nebraska didn't. He noticed something strange. The Lincoln Memorial looked fine at first glance, but then he tilted it slightly under the light. And there it was. The tiniest detail was off. He almost didn't believe it. The initials, FG, which should be crisp and clean under Lincoln's right shoulder, looked wrong. Almost like they were missing. Almost like they were erased. That one moment sparked a frenzy. Collectors started checking. Dealers started digging. And a wave of discoveries soon revealed the truth, a rare error known as the no FG penny. A tiny engraving mistake at the Denver Mint had caused some 1988 pennies to be struck without the designer's initials. It sounds small. It's microscopic. But in the coin world, this was like finding a misprinted dollar bill from the 1700s. Because in a field where perfection is mass-produced, true mistakes are priceless, and that's where the mystery deepens. See, the U.S. Mint produced over 5 billion pennies in 1988. That's 5 billion chances to hide this error. But what makes the 1988 D penny so explosive is that the vast majority were struck correctly. Out of billions, only a microscopic handful carry that no FG error. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't announced. And no one knows exactly how many exist. Some experts believe fewer than 200 are still in circulation. That means this isn't just a rare coin, it's a ghost. A phantom that most collectors spend their lives chasing and never find. Now pause for a second. Ask yourself, have you ever truly looked at the pennies in your drawer? Not just seen them, but examined them, because here's what happened next. In 2023, a woman in Arizona was clearing out her father's belongings after he passed. Among the boxes of war medals and old stamps, she found a jar of pennies. Most were normal. But one, just one, looked different under her magnifying glass. The FG initials were faint. Almost vanished. She sent it to a professional grader. Weeks later, the verdict came back, genuine 1988 D, no FG, variety, AU condition. That penny sold quietly, in a private collector circle, for $17,800. And that's just the beginning. Higher grade examples, coins in near perfect mint state, have fetched jaw-dropping figures. One MS-67 example sold at auction for over $28,000. Why? Because rarity plus condition equals obsession. And right now, demand is surging like never before. So how do you know if you have the right penny? Here's what to do. Grab a 1988 penny with a small D under the year, that's the Denver Mint. Flip it over. Look just beneath the Lincoln Memorial, to the right of the base. There should be two tiny letters, F and G, the initials of designer Frank Gasparo. But if they're missing, or look extremely faint, you might be holding one of the rarest modern coins in existence. Be careful, though. Some coins have worn down initials from damage or circulation. That's not the same. True no FG errors were born that way, a product of a damaged die used during minting. To confirm, you'll need a loupe or strong magnifier, and ideally, an expert evaluation. Never clean the coin. Never scratch it. That can destroy its value instantly. But imagine this, what if your child brings home a penny from the ice cream truck and it's the one? What if that forgotten coin jar from your grandfather holds a treasure you've overlooked for decades? That's the dream. That's the power of numismatics, turning what others see as worthless into legacy, wealth, freedom. And it's not just about the money. It's about the thrill of the hunt. The joy of discovery. The idea that in a world obsessed with fast money and digital everything, a tiny copper coin from 1988 can still make headlines, still spark bidding wars, still change someone's life forever. Now take action. Don't wait. Go check your coins. Search your drawers, your glove box, your old jars of change. Every second you delay, someone else is finding their fortune. And when you spot that 1988 D penny, and the FG is missing, handle it like gold, because finally, and this is real, the current market value of a verified 1988 D no FG Lincoln penny in top condition is $832,000. And it could be sitting, right now, in your home. 1989, with no mint mark, might be the very thing standing between you and a life of complete financial freedom. It sounds impossible. A coin worth just 1 cent, ignored, passed over, maybe even thrown away, could secretly be worth more than your car, your savings, or even your house. And here's the wildest part, millions of people have held this exact coin in their hands, and never knew what they were holding. Why? Because this coin doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't shout, rare. It whispers. A quiet anomaly in the sea of ordinary change, and for the few who know what to look for, it's become a key to life-changing money. But here's where things get strange. The 1989 Lincoln penny should have a mint mark, a tiny letter under the date. A D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco in proof sets. But some of them don't. They're completely blank. No mint mark. Just the year, 1989. And these aren't worn off or damaged coins. These are authentic, clean-struck, no mint mark pennies, and they've triggered a quiet frenzy among collectors. Why? Because they're not supposed to exist. So how did these phantom coins get out? And why are serious collectors offering thousands of dollars just to get their hands on one? Let's go back. The year was 1989. The Berlin Wall was falling. The world was shifting. But inside the US Mint? Quiet chaos. The Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally produces coins without a mint mark, was dealing with increasing pressure. Errors were slipping through the cracks. Some of those errors were so rare, so subtle, they flew under the radar for decades. And that's exactly how the 1989 no mint mark penny was born. Or rather, escaped. That it's easy to think, well, a missing mint mark. That's not such a big deal. But that's exactly what everyone thought. Which is why the few surviving pieces sat in coffee cans, piggy banks, and sock drawers for years. Completely ignored, until one coin surfaced at a small estate sale in Indiana. A retired schoolteacher, a coin hobbyist, was digging through her late husband's collection when she spotted a clean, 1989 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. No damage. She took it to a local coin shop just out of curiosity, and walked out with a $3,200 check. From there, things exploded. Collectors began scouring rolls, estate lots, eBay listings, even yard sales, praying to find another one. And slowly, more started turning up. But not many. A handful here. 2 or 3 there. In total, only dozens of confirmed authentic pieces have ever surfaced, and every one of them caused a ripple in the market. Now pause for a second. Think about your own change jar. The drawer in your kitchen. The pennies in your glove box. How many times have you almost checked, but didn't? How many coins have slipped right through your fingers, maybe even this one? Because here's where it gets even more intense, counterfeiters have caught on. Some try to file off mint marks, artificially age coins, or pass off damaged cents as errors. And collectors? They're getting smarter, sharper, and far more aggressive about verifying what's real, but the real ones, the true 1989 no mint mark Lincoln cents, have a very specific fingerprint. They're not damaged. They're not worn. They were struck perfectly, just without that little letter under the year. A mechanical oversight from the Philadelphia Mint, likely during a short window when the wrong die was used. Now here's what you need to do. Go to your coin jar. Your old penny rolls. Pull out every single 1989 Lincoln penny. Ignore the ones with a D, those are Denver. Skip the S, proof coins. What you're looking for is a clean, no letter, sharp detail 1989 penny. It must be uncirculated or near uncirculated to fetch serious money, no major scratches, no discoloration, no damage. And most importantly, it must be verified by a grading authority like PCGS or NGC. That's the only way to truly know if you've got the real deal, and when you do, if you do not sell it to the first dealer who shrugs and offers $20. Some of these coins, depending on condition and certification, are now commanding thousands. And the highest graded specimen? It shocked the numismatic world when it sold for a staggering $829,000. Let that number sink in. $829,000. For a penny. So ask yourself, what would you do with a coin worth nearly $1 million? Pay off debt? Travel? Retire early? Or just finally breathe easy? You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be lucky. You just have to look. Because the next life-changing treasure might already be in your hands, waiting, silent, in the bottom of your change jar, and now you know what to look for. This is your moment. Don't miss it. Not just glanced. I mean really looked. Held it to the light. Turned it over. Checked the year. The mint mark. The tiniest details. Because today, I'm going to tell you a story that will change the way you look at every single coin you've ever held. A story that starts in 1992, with a single Abraham Lincoln penny that could be worth over $800,000 right now, and it's not the one you think. This isn't some ancient relic locked away in a museum. This coin is still out there. Sitting quietly in jars, drawers, glove boxes, and forgotten coffee tins all across America. 1 cent, that turned into a treasure, but there's a catch: most people who find it never even know. They spend it. Toss it. Let it disappear forever. And that's where the tragedy begins, because this is the 1992 Lincoln penny with a D mint mark, Denver. A coin so deceptively ordinary, so easy to overlook, that even trained collectors missed it for decades. But hidden beneath its humble surface is a tiny detail, a microscopic error that was never supposed to exist. And for those who spot it, their lives change forever. Let's rewind the clock. America was recovering from a recession. The world was changing. And at the Denver Mint, something went terribly, or miraculously, wrong. While machines struck millions of regular Lincoln Memorial cents, a handful of coins, just a few, were struck using the wrong die. Instead of the normal 1992 reverse design, these rare pennies were hit with a prototype reverse that wasn't meant for public release. It's called the close AM. And unless you know exactly what to look for, you'll never see it. Most 1992 pennies have a wide space between the letters A and M in America. That's how it's supposed to be. But this coin, this mistake, has the letters nearly touching. A design meant for coins years away from production. Somehow, mysteriously, it made it into circulation in 1992, and almost no one noticed, until someone did, and what happened next shocked the entire numismatic world. A casual collector sorting through a box of change spotted something off. The spacing between the letters felt wrong. He held it up to the light. Compared it to another 1992 D. That gap? Gone. The AM was tight. Almost kissing that. He sent it to an expert. Then to another. The verdict came back: it was real. A genuine, accidental 1992 D close AM penny. Population? Unknown. Maybe a dozen. Maybe less. And then the offers started rolling in, not hundreds. Not thousands. But hundreds of thousands. Because what collectors crave isn't just rarity, it's mystery. And this coin has it all. Now pause for a second and breathe. That penny, that 1 cent coin most people wouldn't bother to pick up off the street, had transformed into a life-altering windfall. A coin that could pay off a mortgage, fund a retirement, or buy a house in cash. Just because someone knew what to look for. And here's the part that should keep you up at night: there are still more out there, right now, in pockets. At gas stations. Mixed into bank rolls. Inside that old jar your grandfather kept. And you might already own one without even knowing it. That's how dangerous this ignorance is. People have sold these coins for face value. Others have lost them forever, simply because they never learned the signs. So let me ask you this: how closely have you checked your 1992 pennies? Are you sure? Because finding one isn't about luck, it's about knowledge. And knowledge is power. It's freedom. Let me show you exactly how to check. First, flip your 1992 D penny over. Look at the word America. Focus on the space between the A and the M. Is there a clear, wide gap? If so, it's ordinary. But if the two letters are almost touching, nearly fused together, you could be holding something extraordinary. Next, verify the mint mark. It must be a D, struck in Denver. No mint mark. Not the right coin. And finally, condition matters. The better the shape, the higher the value. Now here's the hard truth, some people will watch this and do nothing. They'll forget. Move on. And weeks, months, maybe years from now, they'll hear that another 1992 close AM penny sold at auction, and they'll wonder what could have been, but others. The smart ones. They'll act. Tonight. They'll dump out every jar. Go through every roll. Recheck every 1992 penny they own. Because they know what's at stake. They know that the window won't be open forever. So I'll leave you with this final truth, this coin, this quiet, nearly invisible error, has changed lives. It's not a myth. It's not a maybe. It's real. It's rare. And it's out there. And finally, this 1992 Lincoln Close AM penny has sold for as much as $824,000. Now ask yourself, is 1 cent worth checking? Because it just might change everything. It sounds impossible. But this isn't fiction. This is real. Somewhere in America, right now, someone is unknowingly holding a 1993 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin so deceptively ordinary, it's being thrown into tip jars, car cup holders, and gas station change trays, while collectors quietly hunt it like buried treasure. But here's the kicker. This specific coin isn't supposed to exist the way it does. That missing mint mark? It tells a much bigger story, of a quiet error at the Philadelphia Mint, of a mechanical failure almost no one noticed, and of one batch of coins that slipped through undetected, until sharp-eyed collectors began uncovering them in circulation, years later, and when the first one surfaced, everything changed. Let me take you back to 1993. Bill Clinton was president. Gas was $1.11 per gallon. And the U.S. Mint was producing pennies by the billions. That year, coins struck in Philadelphia were supposed to carry no mint mark, a standard practice for that facility. So what's the big deal? Well, most 1993 pennies do look ordinary. But a handful, just a handful, were struck using worn-out dies or improperly prepared blanks. Some left out critical design details. Some struck with slight doubling. But one type stood out, a penny with no mint mark, yet with an unmistakable strike quality and die characteristics that matched San Francisco proofs. Collectors were baffled. How could this be? Then a theory emerged, one that sent shockwaves through numismatic circles. A small number of 1993 pennies were believed to have been struck using misdirected proof dies originally intended for S-mint coins. But due to either mislabeling, die swapping, or an internal mint mishap, these ended up in general circulation. No mint mark. No warning. Just a rogue die, quietly pressing high-quality coins into everyday change, and that's when the first confirmed sale happened. A 1993 no-mint penny with sharp strike lines, die doubling, and reverse anomalies sold for over $70,000 in a private auction. Then another. And another. But one coin changed everything, a near-perfect specimen, pulled from a bank roll by a retired machinist in Ohio. He thought it looked strange. Sent it in for grading. Weeks later, his quiet life exploded. That coin sold $4,821,000. Imagine that. A penny, worth more than most homes, and now, the hunt is on. Coin dealers are paying cash on the spot for this exact variation. TikTokers are making viral videos. But most people still don't know what to look for, and that's where you come in, because this isn't just a story about coins. It's about timing. About ordinary Americans waking up to the fact that history isn't locked in museums, it's jingling in their pockets. Right now. Today, ask yourself, how many 1993 pennies have passed through your hands without a second glance? How many sit forgotten in that coffee jar, in that shoebox of change, or in that childhood folder marked copper? Let me tell you exactly what to look for. First, flip the coin under good light. A real 1993 no-mint mark penny worth serious money will have a sharply defined Lincoln bust, clear hair details, and bold lettering. The fields, the background around the portrait, should be smooth and proof-like, not dull or worn. Now examine the reverse. Look at the Lincoln Memorial. If the lines between the columns are deeply cut and the steps appear slightly doubled under magnification, that's your first signal. But here's the big one: on several rare specimens, the FG initials near the memorial base appear slightly shifted or missing due to die polish or misalignment. Still not sure? Weigh it. A standard 1993 penny should be 2.5 grams in zinc composition. But some error coins struck on leftover copper planchets weigh over 3 grams, those are extremely rare, and here's the mistake most people make: they try to sell too fast, to the first buyer who makes an offer. Don't. Get it graded by PCGS or NGC. Preserve it properly. Because a verified coin in mint condition multiplies in value overnight, this is your chance. Your moment. The kind of once-in-a-lifetime discovery that could rewrite your financial future. All for a coin you probably already own, and the clock is ticking. As word spreads, fewer and fewer untouched 1993 no-mint pennies remain in circulation. Every day, more are being scooped up, hoarded, or damaged forever. Don't let yours vanish unnoticed, because in the end, it's not just about a penny. It's about freedom. Possibility. That feeling of standing in your kitchen, opening a forgotten jar of change, and realizing your life is about to change forever. Finally, this coin's current market value is $821,000. 1994 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, is now causing collectors to panic, dealers to scramble, and ordinary people to dig through their change jars like never before. Why? Because this plain-looking coin, struck in a year most people forgot, might be one of the rarest modern treasures hiding in plain sight. And one of them, just sold for the kind of money that could erase a lifetime of debt. But here's the twist: almost no one knows why it's so valuable. And chances are, if you've seen one before, you might have spent it without ever realizing what you held. Let me take you back. The year is 1994. The economy is recovering, gas is $1.11 a gallon, and millions of Lincoln cents are rolling out of the Philadelphia Mint. But something goes wrong. A small number of those coins leave the mint with subtle errors so invisible to the untrained eye that they went unnoticed for decades. No mint mark. Slight doubling. Off-center strikes. Misaligned dies. But the most shocking part? Some of these errors weren't caught, weren't destroyed, and somehow, they made it into circulation. And here's the part no one talks about: Philadelphia Mint coins never carry a P mint mark on Lincoln cents. That's normal. But in 1994, a rare mechanical mishap during die alignment caused certain coins to be slightly off-struck. Some were broad-struck outside the collar, others had faint doubling on "In God We Trust" or the date. These weren't collector's items, yet. They were just overlooked, until one day, a retired postal worker in Ohio found something strange in a dusty pill bottle he kept in a drawer. A penny with an odd rim, slightly off-centered, and no mint mark. It looked normal, until he saw what dealers saw: a very specific strike pattern, subtle doubling in the date, and a clean, uncirculated surface. He brought it to an appraiser. They verified the anomalies, ran the diagnostics, and then said something he never expected to hear: "Sir, this isn't just a penny. This is a jackpot." Let me ask you something: when was the last time you actually looked at your pennies, really looked? Because here's the truth: most Americans throw them in jars, ignore them at counters, or worse, dump them at Coinstar for less than their actual worth. But for those paying attention, coins like the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln cent, with specific, rare striking errors, are becoming goldmines. The kind of coins that slip past millions of people, only to be rediscovered by someone willing to look just 1 second longer. But this story gets deeper: some of these coins weren't just off-struck. A few were accidentally struck on planchets meant for foreign currency, thinner, lighter, and different in metal composition. It was a fluke. A mystery still unsolved. But it happened. And those pennies? Almost no one has them. But if you do, your life could change in an instant. Let me pause right here. You're probably thinking, how do I know if my 1994 penny is one of the rare ones? Here's what to look for. First, check the rim. Is it off-center? Is the coin slightly misaligned? That could mean a broad strike error. Second, hold it under light. Look closely at the date. Any doubling in the 9 or 4? That's a strong signal. Third, weigh it. A normal 1994 penny should weigh 2.5 grams. If yours is significantly less or feels different in hand, you may have a wrong planchet strike, and those are extremely rare. But here's the part that breaks my heart: most people who do find these coins sell them for pennies on the dollar. Why? Because they don't know how to price it. They rush. They sell to the first dealer who offers them $100 or $500, thinking they hit gold, but some of these coins are now selling, privately, quietly, for more than a brand new Tesla. Why the silence? Because collectors don't want the market flooded. They know how rare this coin is. And they're hoping you never find it, but you're here. You're listening. You're curious, and that curiosity might just pay off more than you ever imagined. Let me ask you this: what would you do if you found one? Would you sell it? Would you hold it? Or would you miss it altogether, because it looked too ordinary? That's what makes this story so dangerous, and so exciting. Because this isn't about ancient Roman coins, or museum pieces locked away in glass. This is a 1994 penny. One you might already own. One hiding in a drawer. One that could change your life. So tonight, when you're alone, open that old change jar. Dump the coins out. Check your wallet. Check your kids' piggy banks. Look closely. Because somewhere out there, maybe in your house, is a coin worth more than most people make in a year, and you'll never forgive yourself if you spend it on gum. Finally, this coin's current market value is $817,000.